Welcome to another deep dive, everyone. I am your host, Jason. I have a great show planned. Let me get some disclaimers out of the way and we will get into it because this is a pretty cool character. Anyway, the information is pulled from different sources across the internet and may or may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero. I was asked why I do say that. Sometimes I have to leave stuff out if they are, like if I come across a storyline that they're a part of that doesn't seem to really enhance the character, I may leave that out. That's why I say it may not be completely complete, or there may be stuff that I just wasn't able to find out that you know, and in which case I encourage you to let me know. The best way is to find me on YouTube if you haven't already. It's Superhero Deep Dive. I am so close to 500 subscribers. I would absolutely love it if I got there because I will do a giveaway in a special YouTube video, so it does pay to subscribe. Also, you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram under Super Deep Dive. Try to use the hashtag Superhero Deep Dive when I can. You can email me directly at B4itall, so B4itall@yahoo.com. And you can catch me every Tuesday and Thursday on Outworld Fleet Radio. Their website is www.un-conventional.com/radio. So, yes, let's get into it. This week, I am talking about the mutant Feral. She's a member of X-Force, or she was at least. She's got a really cool history. She looks a lot like Wolfsbane or Renee, but not quite. And she is, like I said, she's really cool. It's, take like Tigra and Wolfsbane and you'll get Feral, basically. Which is fine. You know, it works for me, right? Alright, let's get into her. So anyway, her real name is Maria Calasantos. The cat-like mutant Feral attempted to escape from the tyrannical rule of the Morlock Mask. She was saved from Mask by Cable, who agreed, and when she was saved, she agreed to join Cable's paramilitary group X-Force in return for protection. You know, she's already fighting anyway, so might as well. Alongside X-Force, she first battled the Mutant Liberation Front, during which she broke Wildside's jaw. She then severely injured Cannonball during combat training. She definitely lived up to her name, Feral. Like, she had no self-control at first. It was all just, you know, if you're going for combat, even if it's like practice, it was all out. Like, she was a beast, and it was really cool. Like, it was really, really cool. But let's see here. She then she fought her sister Thorn, and when Thorn and Mask invaded the X-Force base, she just like went all out. She then battled Sauron, and alongside X-Force she battled Weapon Prime. She was later compelled by the Druid to go to Starksboro, Massachusetts, where she did even more training. She probably battled more people. Now, during the Executioner Song saga, which was done in the late 90s, I believe, she was attacked by the X-Men and X-Factor alongside X-Force. She was then captured by Wolverine. And if you don't know, the Executioner song is really interesting because what it was is Strife came and tried to assassinate Charles Xavier, but he did it dressed as Cable. And since they're kind of, Strife is a clone of Cable, everyone went after X-Force. So that's kind of like the gist of it. But Feral was then captured by Wolverine and was taken prisoner with X-Force by the X-Men and X-Factor. Feral later received a new costume and left Xavier's mansion with the rest of X-Force. You know, they sorted it out, and with X-Force she then fought Nick Fury and War Machine, who was definitely after them too. Let's see here. Feral was always the ticking time bomb of X-Force, especially when it came to her teammate Siren, who's Banshee's daughter, barely capable of controlling her deadly temper. Prior to joining the group, it was later revealed that Maria and her sister Lucia, who became Thorn, you know, that's where that came from, had to leave home and live with the Morlocks. It was later discovered that both girls had been abused by their cocaine addict stepfather. In retaliation, Feral killed the man and shoved his body into the wall. So yeah, like it definitely helps with understand the temper, you know. Um, Her mother, who was also addicted to cocaine, found out and sought vengeance on the girls by killing all of her pet pigeons. This infuriated Farrell to the point where she also killed her mother in a fit of rage. It was also hinted that she purposefully pushed their younger sister down the stairs leading to her death, as well as allowed their younger brother to fall to his death from their roof. Wow. This is messed up. Ultimately, Farrell betrayed X-Force and became the enemy of her former teammates when she was convinced to join the terrorist group known as the Mutant Liberation Front, although her alliances would continue to shift. So that's just kind of crazy. After a brief stint with the Mutant Liberation Front, Farrell emerged from hiding when the New York City police captured Thorne. Thorne revealed that she had seen Farrell kill Harry Bellinger, who was their mother's boyfriend, and Cannonball provoked Farrell into admitting that she had murdered her mother. Cannonball overpowered Farrell, and an old friend of Lucia's, police detective Jose Hidalgo, arrested her for killing 3 members of her family and Bellinger. During her jail time, Farrell discovered that she was infected with the legacy virus. Man, that sucks. Let's see here. She was then either unable to be convicted or escape, as she was next seen trying to obtain isotope E along with other virus sufferers as a possible cure from the High Evolutionary. Farrell, now mentally distraught from her illness, later resurfaced with a new incarnation of the Hellions led by King Bedlam. Although the team's criminal activities were limited to stealing the Armageddon Man to use him as a weapon, Farrell left her mark. All the rage that she had felt for Siren in the past boiled over in an argument where Farrell sliced through Siren's vocal cords, incapacitating her powers. That is brutal. Siren is the daughter of Banshee. She has the same powers. She has like a hypersonic scream, which she can use to fly and do all these other things. And yeah, actually having her stuff cut is pretty messed up. Okay. Let's get back to Farrell though. Like this is some crazy stuff that she goes through. So like, it's just insane. Alright, after being cured from the virus, Farrell apparently had a change of heart. She, as well as her sister Thorne, were recruited to be members of the Mumbai branch of the X Corporation, along with her former teammate Warpath and Sunfire. The team helped save Professor X from an assassination attempt by a crazed Lalandra Niramani, who still believed that Charles Xavier was Cassandra Nova, which is like his twin sister that came out. That's a whole confusing story. But Farrell stayed with the X-Corp for quite some time, but she returned to New York after M-Day, where the Scarlet Witch caused the mutant gene to disappear from 90 to 95% of the mutant population worldwide, making them basic baseline humans. Both Farrell and her sister were depowered and in Mutant Town looking for answers. So, yeah. Let's see here. They both traveled to Wakanda, where the sisters met up with other Farrell heroes such as Sasquatch and Wolfsbane. As a group, the 4 of them were to aid Wolverine in his search for his longtime foe, Sabretooth. During the group's investigation to find Sabretooth, both Farrell and Thorne are kidnapped by the enigmatic Genesis Romulus, who's a 2,000-year-old mutant. Romulus specializes in feral mutations, preferring wolf-based entities such as individuals like Wolfsbane. And despite Farrell and Thorne's cat-like exteriors, the girls are put under extreme experiments that change them on their genetic level. Now, I wonder if Romulus is older than Apocalypse. Do you know? I'll have to research it too. But do you know, is Apocalypse older? I can't remember who was first. Let me know in the comments on the channel if you do. Let's see. The sisters woke up and found that they were in a Weapon X facility level, or experiment facility, I'm sorry, and remembered nothing of the events that brought them there. Though not feeling any different except for their slight amnesia, they were more than surprised when they got up and looked at each other. The sisters realized that their bodies had been tampered with, as they only saw their once mutant forms, cat-like in appearance. Whatever had been done to them had, in their beliefs, reversed their depowering, and they were both mutants again. Which I can only imagine, being a mutant with a kind of a physical mutation like that. And then, stuff happens, you see where you are now, you're back human, and then you wake up after some ordeal and you're mutant again. I can't imagine the elation, I guess, the joyousness of it, or even the horror of it if you actually liked your human form and realized this is what could have been if you weren't a mutant. So, I mean, I can't imagine the emotional toll it would take one way or the other, because I can see where it'd be crazy either way. But anyways, their memories began to slowly came back when Wolverine appeared. He was surprised to see their images, but gladly accepted the additional power that their mutant forms carried, should they wish to continue. So, he was happy, but he wasn't sure if they were gonna still be a part of all this. Let's see here. I'm sorry if I sound distracted. I'm trying to get through this, and there's a lot of information. Okay, so the two continued to search the facility that they were in, and with so many hallways and doors, they inadvertently got separated. While alone, Farrell stumbled upon Sabretooth, and he was very different at the time. He was more animalistic, even more so than normal. Confident in her skills, she willingly confronted him. In such close quarters, and Sabretooth in his apparently mindless state, she found the truth about her powers far too late. Sabretooth killed her, and Wolverine arrived right after Sabretooth did that. Wolverine then killed Sabretooth by beheading him. So there's a whole lot with that going on, right? So in the end, the team regrouped, and with Farrell dead, it was speculated by Wolfsbane that the sisters were still considered baseline humans. Like maybe their images changed, but not actually their powers, if that makes sense, which I think it does. I mean, they just kind of, he messed with them, but not to the point where they actually gained their powers back. Only their outward appearances had been changed back to their once feline form. Wolverine agreed, as it explained why she lost so easily. It appears that Romulus only reverted their physical forms back to their previous mutant states without actually granting them their mutant powers. Farrell's life came full circle, and she was murdered in cold blood by a feral mutant in the berserker state that she was in when she murdered her family in her youth. So despite the fact that she had lost her powers prior to her death, Farrell was later resurrected and repowered by means of the transmode virus to serve as part of Selene's army of deceased mutants. Under the control of Selene and Eli Bard, she took part in the assault of the mutant nation of Utopia and was seen attacking X-23 and Dr. James Bradley. So, that's a whole situation in it of itself. It's hard to describe that. I may have to do something on Selene at some point. Now later, as Shatterstar and Wolfsbane defeated a demon calling itself a Sin Eater at a local church, the two are about to leave when they encounter Farrell waiting outside the church. Farrell wants to get Wolfsbane's unborn baby for herself, even if she has to kill Renee Sinclair to get it. Farrell's attack fails as she passes through Wolfsbane's body, and Renee reminds her that Farrell is dead. Farrell does not believe it, but she feels something is wrong about herself and vanishes when she realizes that she is in fact dead. She later materializes with her memories intact, and in the taxi, Renee and Shatterstar are riding, as they are being chased by their enemies at the time. She reveals that there are many supernatural entities, specifically animal-type gods, with dog and cat forms, now after Renee's hybrid unborn baby. They are using Maria's spirit as a homing beacon on Renee, and she was once part of the human world when she was still alive, with the promise that they will reward her service to them by fully resurrecting her. So, you know, there's a lot to take in on that. There's just a lot to take in on that. It's so hard to kind of comprehend it all. But, you know, whatever, right? Whatever. So years later, Farrell was in fact resurrected by the Five and resides on Krakoa alongside other mutants, including her former teammates of X-Force. So her life, because that's her history right there in a nutshell. Her life has been full of just combat and anger, and she lives up to her name so well. Like, she is the definition of her name. It's insane what all she has gone through. I can't imagine having an upbringing where both parents are addicted to cocaine. And the emotional toll that takes to lash out in such a way when you actually have the power to do so. And then, you know, you're constantly on the run. You're never trusting anyone fully. When you do, it seems like things come back to bite you. The character has so many levels and such depth emotionally. It's just insane. But what do you guys think of this character? Like, she's pretty interesting, right? I mean, just so much pain that she's gone through. Let me know in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, it is Superhero Deep Dive. I post videos all the time, like multiple times a day now. Help me get to 500 subscribers. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Help me get to 1 million. I don't know. Just help me grow. It'd be great. I am going to be doing a giveaway video at 500 subscribers. So, you know, it's definitely worth that. I mean, I'll do another one at 1,000. And the more I grow, the more I'll give. Because that's what I believe in. But anyways. You can also email me at b4itall@yahoo.com, or you can find me on YouTube, or not YouTube, Twitter or Instagram under Super Deep Dive, and leave a comment on any of the posts I have, or send me a DM. It's whatever you want to do. It's great. I love talking to you guys. But let's get into her powers. Now, Farrell formerly had a feline mutation that endowed her with a thin layer of light orange fur covering her body, sharp claws and fangs, pointed ears, superhumanly acute senses including night vision and sense of smell, enhanced strength, speed, agility, reflexes, coordination, balance, and endurance, paired with enhanced healing capabilities as well as a prehensile tail. Farrell was depowered during M-Day, but she has since been repowered and when she was briefly resurrected during Necrosha. Farrell was a fierce hand-to-hand combatant trained in unarmed combat by Cable, and she was also an excellent hunter and tracker. So, you know, basic kind of like Farrell-like powers, right? I mean, everything you would expect. Fun facts, Farrell made cameos in the X-Men episodes Slave Island and Graduation Day. In Slave Island, Farrell is among the mutants enslaved on Genosha. In Graduation Day, Farrell was with Sunfire and some unnamed mutants when they watched Henry Peter Gyrick's attack on Professor X. The two of them talked about this incident, and she was also with Sunfire when he and the other mutants on Genosha wanted Magneto to lead them against the humans. A mutant that resembles a hairless version of Farrell made a cameo in Wolverine and the X-Men episode Excalibur. So we definitely think that was her. Farrell also appears in the Wolverine vs. Sabretooth motion comic. So she hasn't been seen much in the media. You know, I didn't pull up any video game references or anything like that. So it's been mainly just a comic character. But yeah, like, she doesn't have a whole lot to her, but she's just got such depth, which I love. But let me go into this. Now this is like my final thoughts on the character. whether good or bad. If they need something, what would be a good idea for them, stuff like that. I stopped doing kind of like expanded powers on it because everything turned into a TV show or a movie, and I want to try to just give final thoughts, like, and ideas of the character. So I find it real interesting that Marvel has given so many of their kind of like wolf-like characters or animalist characters such diverse backgrounds. Like if we look at Farrell, she's got a Hispanic origin. Renee Sinclair, which is Wolfsbane, is Scottish. Werewolf by Night is Transylvanian, I believe. And Man-Wolf is from the moon, but Werewolf by Night and Man-Wolf are totally different. But Tigra, who we've done a deep dive on before, she's got her own story. Like, there's just such diversity that there's not anything really concrete. We have Wolverine, that's Canadian. Sabretooth, I believe, is Canadian as well. There's just such diversity. And there's no real consistent connection to them. Now, granted, some of them are not mutants, but still, it all kind of boils down to that kind of animalistic background. I know at one point there was like considered a mutant class or category that Wolverine and Sabretooth belong to, called lupine mutants. And in fact, I may have to do a show based on the different mutant categories. I've actually just put it on my list. But still, Farrell would classify as a lupine mutant. And I just wonder if there's something common on a genetic or even like DNA level that we can explore. Now, something similar to my idea that I'm coming up with happened a couple times in the past. So I'm just going to talk about that and then expand on it. In the late 80s, there was the original Secret War with Marvel Comics. A powerful alien gathered a bunch of heroes together and had them battle it out. There was a second Secret War later, like much later, that was similar. I don't know too much about it. I just didn't get into it. But DC also did something like this with the Crisis of Infinite Earth storyline, where they would have a bunch of different versions of Batman or Superman or wherever from the multiverse battle it out. And that way we knew who the best Batman of the multiverse was, which version of Superman was the best and why, and stuff like that. Granted, that's like a real oversimplification, but it's the most basic way to put it without spoiling too much if you haven't already read the story. If you haven't, I do recommend looking it up. It's pretty interesting. It doesn't have too many surprises in it, but it is a fun story because it explores the same heroes across the multiverse, just different versions of them, and it's fun to see all that. But anyways, let's say that there's another mutant that pops up like Apocalypse or Romulus or any of the other ancient mutants, or even some celestial offspring or something like that. And they need one of every mutant category to fill some kind of prophecy or something that they're doing. I don't know. Take your pick. Whatever random comic endgame they pull out of a hat, because that's what they do. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't be good, but honestly, there are only so many endgames that they can have. Like whether it's a prophecy, whether it's my ultimate master plan to rule the world or rule the universe or whatever. Like, there's only so many variations. It's the story. The end games are always the same. The stories are what makes it good. But let's have them do that. Like, let's have Farrell be in it with like Renee, Wolverine, Sabretooth, Sasquatch. I don't know what other ones there are that are mutants. But let's have them do that. Let's have them like battle it out. They can fight for supremacy, and with it we can really work on expanding her and other characters like that, like Wolfsbane and stuff. As far as using their powers for different purposes. finding ways to expand on their own with what they have. And they have to do it for every category, right? So you can have a whole series. Like you can have maybe 4 or 5 issues per category. And all the characters, even if they don't win, like so even if Farrell doesn't win, she gains this whole nother level to her powers. And learns something and becomes a better hero because of it. But I do think it's a cool idea for because she just mainly kind of vanishes into the background otherwise, and it's almost criminal with the emotional depth that she has. But let me know what you think. Do you have any special stories that you would like to see her in? Would you like to see her in the media? You know, what is your take on her? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, you can catch me on Superhero Deep Dive. I post videos all the time. And I'm really trying to grow that channel, so I would greatly appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to one of my fans named Greg. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for sending me stuff and giving me feedback. One of his feedbacks was my slideshows that I do on, like, for superhero memes. They cycle too fast, so I need to make them a little bit longer when they have text. So I'm trying to work on that. But you can catch me on Instagram and Twitter under Super Deep Dive and use hashtag Superhero Deep Dive. And you can email me at b4itall, so b4itall@yahoo.com. I think that's it for me today. I have a lot more going on that I will, as far as shows go. So I'm gonna keep going. I love you guys. Everyone be blessed, be happy, be safe, be smart. And if you're not smart, don't get caught. I will see you guys next week. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment, like, share, whatever. Leave critiques, requests, all that stuff in the comments on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye!